Hello, I'm Lauren Carr, and thank you for joining us at the Mystery Review Crew podcast. Join us for author interviews, panel discussions, and all things mystery. Today, we are excited to have Maggie Clare, aka Tabitha Lord. Maggie Clare is the pen name of award winning speculative fiction author Tabitha Lord. When channeling Maggie, she writes all the naughty things. A lover of tea, chocolate, and yoga, she lives in Rhode Island with her husband and menagerie of fur babies. Everybody, sit back and relax and enjoy. We are going to have a conversation with Tabitha Lord, aka Maggie Clare. So Tabitha, hey, how are you? Thank you so much for coming today.
I'm so pleased to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great. Now, we were talking before we started that now if some people are probably going to notice that, hey, are you interviewing the right author? Because her name there is Tabitha Lord. And the book on tour is Moving Target by Maggie Clare. So Tabitha, why don't you straighten people out? One and the same? Do you have a dual personality?
I do. Absolutely. I have a dual personality. No, I started off in my writing journey as a speculative fiction writer. And the first thing I ever wrote was science fiction. I wrote a science fiction trilogy. I have a bunch of workout short fiction on podcasts and all kinds of speculative fiction. And the agent that I work with works with me as Tabitha. And so that was my first platform, my first venture into the writing. But during COVID, I kind of got this idea that I want to do something a little fun, something I could do more online, reach readers directly. And the romance genre is really excellent at that. And I do love reading romance. So I thought I have some ideas. I could write a romantic suspense, I think. And so I started building the new platform as Maggie Clare, because it's a different audience. Some of my Maggie readers will go find me as Tabitha because they like my writing, but a lot of my science fiction hardcore folks aren't really going to make the transition into romance. So they're separate, but not hidden from one another. So, Maggie knows about Tabitha, Tabitha knows about Maggie, all the readers know, but if you know that you're reading Tabitha, you're getting a certain thing. And if you know you're reading Maggie, you're getting something else. And the Maggie Clare name, when I started thinking about writing under a pen name, is actually at my two grandmothers on my dad and my mom's side, Margaret and Claire. And they both passed before I was published, but they were both avid readers. And I thought, they'd love it if I gave them.
Did they read romance or
my one grandmother read romance, my other read the sci-fi, but both would have been thrilled to be, the name of the spicy stuff. They totally would have thought that was hysterical. So that's my way of honoring them.
Yeah, you write naughty fiction to honor your grandmothers.
Absolutely.
That's different. That's totally different.
Well, I use the name to honor them. No naughty fiction, It's Tactical Solutions. Yes, Tactical Solutions International is the name of the series. So all the books in the series are interrelated, but you don't have to read them in sequence. They are in a timeline, but each story is independent with a different couple. And I just sort of refer back to some of the other couples, so you get a little peek at what so-and-so's doing in this next book, but the story stands on its own. So if you found Moving Target, which is really the fourth book in the series, you wouldn't be at a disadvantage if that's the first one you read. You might be curious and say, oh, who is this person? I feel like they have their own story, because they do, and so you can go back and find that one.
Who are the characters in that?
So the characters are essentially, I had a couple of guys who ex-military started a security firm that does, security work or other kinds of paramilitary stuff, but in the private sector. And so there's the two partners, and then their very first employee was Jake, who is in the first book, Sing for Me. And he gets, really injured overseas and really goes through a bad time. And they kind of save him by giving him another job. And like, you're a tech guy too, you can do this instead. And that sort of saves him. And then the second one is somebody's brother that I pulled out of the, like sometimes the characters that, I had an original plan of 5 books, and now it's going to be 8, I think, because the 2 characters popped out that I never intended to write about and were so popular.
Funny how that happens.
Yeah, Moving Target is one of those. Moving Target, you meet Teague, the star of this. He's a drummer in a band, you meet him in book 1. He's Fiona's drummer. She was the star of book 1. And I'm like, people loved him so much. I'm like, I can make a story for Teague. I think I can do that. So
and you have a flip because you have a bodyguard, but the bodyguard is a woman.
Yes, I wanted to kind of not keep sticking with the trope of the guy rescuing the girl, the male character rescuing the female, which is so fun to work with. And I make my characters sassy anyway. The girls kind of rescue themselves too, but I wanted to just flip it on its head and make a really strong female character who's working in a male dominated world and still have her, be a woman, because I think we women are, it's not one or the other. You don't have to be only feminine damsel in distress. You can be a female character that's super strong and still be, fall in love and still have desires.
And she is guarding the guy.
She's guarding him. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, now tell what is, okay. Why don't you tell what is Moving Target about? Because, we've already said a little bit.
Yeah. So Maria, the female character, she works for TSI. She's one of their employees. She's ex-military. She's an ex-Marine. She loves her new job working with them. She's been with them a couple of years. We meet her in the book before because she's helping with the security detail of one of the other characters. So we get a little glimpse of her. And then Tegan is a drummer in a rock band. And we met him in book 1 because he was the drummer for the band there. And he needs security. They're going on tour and he needs security. And Maria, he has a crush on Maria. He's the one that's going after her, but he's been portrayed as such a player, which he is. But he's like, it's getting old. I really do want something real. And this woman is intriguing to me. I'm getting to know her over time and I really like her, but she will not pay him any mind. First, she doesn't want to, she doesn't want to put her career in jeopardy and do, have an affair with a client. Essentially, she's got integrity. She doesn't want to do that. He respects that. But he's like, how about when this gig is done, we get together? And she's still like, nope, you're a player. I don't trust your kind, your type. So she totally puts him in a box, isn't willing to look further than just, his outrageous behavior with the women while he's, whatever. So, so he's been trying to get at her. The opening scene though, is he gets shot. He's the witness to a cartel murder. And he's the sole surviving witness. So the women are killed and he's the only one left alive and he's very injured. And so Maria they have to go on the run because the person that did the killing has left a witness and now knows it. So that's the moving target piece. So that's kind of the premise. And of course, sparks fly and all is well in the end, of course, because it's a romance, but it was really fun to write. I love his personality. He's Australian. And so my sister lived for many years in Australia on and off. And so I read the whole thing out loud to her when we were vacationing together over the summer, early in the summer. And she, I said, did I get it right? Am I using the right terms and the right phrases and that sort of thing? She's like, this is great. I love Teague. He's fabulous. I'm like, I love him too. So thing. So, and then I'm working on a story on Kindlevella, which is the episodic, are you familiar with the Vella platform? As Maggie.
I haven't had the guts to try that.
Yeah, it's I just thought, why not? I'll give it a whirl. It's another platform. So I'm about 3/4 of the way through the story that I'm writing episodically. It's a little darker, it's a little more erotic, but dark. But it does come under my Maggie, so I'm writing it as Maggie.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, do you with Kindlevella, do you have everything written and then you're going to?
I didn't.
You're writing it.
I know.
So what happens if you
can't figure out how
to, and like you die in your sleep by
right? I know.
and then you don't.
That's the end. I don't know.
And it's all going to come get you.
That's it. That's all that's good. Yeah. I've never, it's such an interesting way to write episodically like that. Now I do have all the pieces in my head. So I do have an outline for the story, but writing it and putting it out there before you have the whole thing and have a chance to edit it, that's new for me. It's very uncomfortable, but I thought, you know what? It's okay. You can be uncomfortable. This is an interesting platform.
Tell them how many episodes there's going to be ahead of time.
I actually don't know how many episodes there are going to be in this story because as I write them, some of the scenes take longer. So I divide them up and then I post them like that. So I'm not really sure, but I'm about 3/4 of the way through the story. And I think I'm at maybe 30 episodes. I'm not sure. So I have to go back and then look, but it's exciting. I'm enjoying it, but it is also nerve-wracking for me because I'm like, don't let anybody see it until you've had a chance to, rework and build the thing, and I'm like, nope, it's out there now. And I'm stuck with what I just wrote. I'm locked in. I got to figure it out now. So
that's why I don't go back, and I don't, like I've had 30 books out, and I do not go back and look at what the first one or this. Once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
I don't look at them because I'm afraid of that.
Yep. And but with the ones that my books are so edited, like every single thing I've ever written, I've looked at it again. I've sent it to my beta readers. They've given me feedback. Then it goes to the editor. Then I do so even though these romantic ones are not as development, I don't have to do as many developmental edits, like plot wise and stuff. They've still gone through many passes before they're coming to the reader. And this is so different. I'm like, well, the episode's done, post it, and I'm like, oh gosh. All right, well, I can't go back and change this piece because I've already written myself out to 30 episodes, so.
And you're already married to what you did in chapter 10.
Right. Which is very interesting.
So you can't change your plot line.
Nope.
That see, and I do that as a writer, is that I'll reach chapter 20 and then, okay, I'm going to do this. Okay, I have to go set it up back in chapter 10.
Right.
You can't do that.
No, I'm stuck with it. But it's an interesting way to write. It's been sort of fun. It's a little bit more seat of your pants, like, oh, I wonder what, today is going to happen to poor Frankie, but like I said, I do have an outline because there's no way I'd dive in completely. I'm not a complete pantser. I have to have some kind of an outline. So I know where it's going. I know the pivotal scenes, but it's kind of interesting sometimes when I'm writing, like what pops up that I just go with and explore. And I'm like, yeah, that really worked. Or, oh well.
Now, do you, because don't you have a deadline? I mean, Amazon or Kindle.
No, Vella doesn't
you
care.
Set the deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But I just keep writing, and when I finish an episode, I post it right then and there. It would probably be better.
So your readers aren't expecting, okay, this Friday is her next one's going to come out. Your readers aren't doing that.
No, I mean, I probably, if I were a little more patient, I would have written the whole thing and then done the episodes. Like I would have finished every episode. But I just didn't. I was like, you know what? That's not the intent of some of these platforms. Some of the readers like to wait for the new episode to come out and feel like they're the first one to read it, and others, wait until the whole thing is complete before they even start. So I don't know. It was just something new. I'll kind of use it as a test platform if I liked it. And if it ends up getting some bigger traction, maybe I'll keep writing on this platform. But it certainly allows me to explore this darker,
dark.
Yeah, a little bit darker and not kind of be putting it along with my TSI series or the next stuff that I want, series I want to write. So
what are you working on next?
So I have another book that's completed, that's with my agent, and it's called Dreamwalker, and it's loosely an urban fantasy. It feels a bit like Dexter meets Elizabeth Salinger from the Dragon Tattoo books. She's a techie person, but she's also an assassin, and she is a vigilante assassin, but kills you in your sleep because she's a dreamwalker. So she takes her jobs off the dark web, only bad guys, but so she's like, cartel people want to knock off somebody else, or people that have gotten away with things, and she brings justice. And the opening scene is she's in someone's head, and it's a job. She's supposed to be killing this guy, and she realizes he's not bad. Like she can get that sense when she's in there tooling around in their brains, and she's like, uh-oh, he's a Boy Scout. Like he's not, but he's like, he feels clean and not. So she doesn't do the job. And so she investigates in the real world and realizes he's an FBI agent undercover and someone put a hit out on him. So now she's conflicted because she's, she does have a moral code. I don't want him to die. He's an FBI agent, right? Yeah. But I also don't want to blow my own cover and be like, yes, and I was going to kill you. But so that's the premise of that book. And that's out on submission right now with my agent, meaning she's trying to sell it into the bigger market. Mm-hmm. And then I've got the next book.
So, and this is in the real world. This is not on another planet.
Not on another planet, but again, it has that speculative element because she's a dream walker. So she kills you in your sleep, which is not something I don't think people can do in this world. I know.
Well, we may find out.
You never know. But I had that thought about, how there's that urban fantasy or that urban legend that if you die in your sleep, like if you actually hit the ground when you fall off the building, that you would die. Like, you've heard that. Interesting concept though, right? Like, so she's able to hold you in your dream and make the kill so that your body essentially thinks you died and does.
And you died in your sleep.
And you died in your sleep. So it's clean and there's no mess and there's no evidence. And so she gets paid in, virtual currency like Bitcoin or crypto. Mm-hmm. And so everything, and she is by day, she's like that Elizabeth Salinger techie, she works for a real corporation that does, encryption and things like that. So that's her world. So that's fun. It was a really fun book to write, and I'm hoping that soon I will have it sold.
Maybe you can use it again.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us today at the Mystery Review Crew. If you liked today's episode, then do be sure to like and subscribe so that you can receive notifications of future episodes.